Hello and welcome to another live stream from the only source of information you need. Okay, let's see if that schedule is straightened out. Oh, I hate the clunkiness of going live. Okay, folks, I know that if you're here, it's just by accident because I scheduled this thing, I set it on a timer, and then as soon as I pressed the button, I went live after I finished messing around for a while. So I did something wrong. And so you weren't given warning about this. This is my live stream. Hopefully you are here. Hello, Lock King. Hopefully others will find this because I did shut down the other. I should have just let the thing run, but I didn't want to post a video with a 7-minute gap at the beginning. So here I am with no gap and no people. So I'm still going to have a gap because I'm not going to start yapping until a few more people show up. There's Discord 42. Oops. I guess that's me. Oops, because I didn't do this right. You know what? And I didn't even go brush my hair. Oh, well. Guess if I'm going to look like a prophet, I need to pull all this stuff up here, especially for the Lock King. I mean, doesn't it? Looks like a really wise old man, doesn't it? Anyways, let's see here. Howdy, Discord 42. Howdy, Lock King. Let's see who all's with us right now. Let's see, the Lock King and Discord 42. Hello, Discord 42, and hello, Lock King. This may be all that's here for a little while. I got a thumbs up, and I got 2 people watching, and so I might as well get started. Hopefully, well, you know what? Instead of getting into anything deep, I'll just tell you about my day. In the course of the last 3 weeks, I've been trying my best to get my yard straightened out and my wood straightened out. And so as stuff is breaking, I'm not fixing it. I'm just pushing it aside. I've got 3 of those trimmer mowers and I got 3 chainsaws over here. And so I just kept pushing them aside until eventually, and I had no lawnmowers left and no chainsaws left. And I had no money to buy the parts to fix them. But it's okay. My welfare check comes in on the 3rd, and so I only had to wait about 3 days for that to get here. And then I went ahead and made an order to eBay, and I got, like, I think three carburetors in for stuff that wasn't working right, and chainsaw bar and 6 chains. And so they started coming in, and today I got out there and I fixed all of my chainsaws. So, and it's battery powered chainsaw. I got one gas powered chainsaw right now. So I got it running. And I'm hoping to have all my equipment fixed in the next couple of days. So if anybody wants to come down, I'll have plenty of stuff to work with. But it's been raining, so that was another thing. And it's going to be raining over the next couple of days. I'll be out there working on my porch. And let's see. I'm going to read what this message that just popped up from YouTube. Press the Alt key to pause the chat, then point to a message to delete it. Block the user or take other actions. Let us know how this works for you from the options menu at the top right of the chat. Okay, got it. I don't got it, but I press got it because I think it's the only way you can get that message off there. Okay, who's here now? Hey, it does indeed. Oh yeah, I know what he's talking about. Been a while. Life got rough, but I'm back. Well, right now my life's a little rough too. That's another thing. I was kind of divided about whether or not to drop everything I was doing and go work on my forest again. But there's so much emotional chaos going on in my family right now. I can't think straight, but I don't have to think straight to push a lawnmower or cut trees. So we just opted for forest maintenance because it's something I can do. Lara is here, and I done talked to her today. In fact, that was going to be my live stream. I was actually hoping that by talking to her, I'd come up with some ideas. Her and Thomas, because we did a live stream with all 3, not a live stream, but a Skype call with all 3 of us, and that's available to anybody that wants to. My Skype address is Henry Thoreau, HenryThoureau, And if you go there, you'll see a picture of me, so you'll know you'll have the right page. I got one that I don't use, and I don't know the password or anything for. I think I just got some clip art or a thumbnail of some black woman, and I put that for my thumbnail. So if you see that, that's not really me. It's me, but I don't know how to get there, so no reason to send me a message on that. Shannon's here. Oh my goodness, you better. I hope you got some coffee because it's like 10 o'clock at night over there. My pale star. Good evening, Henry. Ricky G. Your dreads are big. The shiny part up here is getting kind of big too, but not with dreads. Jared Bolgan, hi SNC. Nice finally catch a live stream. Been planting fruit trees all week for a local nursery. You inspired me to do that. Good luck. So that brings up another thing. Something else I'm doing in the woods, because I told you this, when my last chainsaw broke and my last lawnmower broke, I didn't have any money to buy the parts, but I did not stop working. I got a big old pile of mulch out here, and I took buckets full of that way out into the woods. And my loquats, my Japanese plums, are edible now. There's a whole bunch of them. They're almost at the end now, but it's a fruit that's about this big, but in the middle of it is some seeds about that big. And usually there's 1 or 2 or 3 in each piece of fruit. So I've been saving those, digging a little hole about that round and only about that deep, and filling it full of mulch and putting 5 seeds in each hole, spread it out from one another. And the reason I'm doing that is so that when they grow, I can watch them over the course of a year and then cut off the ones that don't look as healthy or not as big as the others. And I put one of them little red vinyl flags in each one of those spots, and I planted about 40, I think 40 spots of 4 times 5, 200 trees, 200 seeds. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know I've done that in the past, but not quite the same. I have actually gone out and planted these things before, but I did not put the little red flags next to them. And it was 2 years without mowing my grass. So when I went back, the grass was up to my chest. I could not see those trees I planted if they even came up. So this time around, we're doing things a little different. I did go out and mow the lawn all around there right before I planted those things. And so that's something I've done. So, and they usually produce. So if I get a forest, an area that's full of loquat trees, that'll be enough food for everybody. Okay, Marie Miller. Okay, found you guys. I am guessing you went to the first live stream that I messed up, and you can go back and watch this from the beginning later to find out what I'm talking about. Your title is intriguing. Lara, hey, I always like talking to you, and you have introduced me to some awesome new friends. So that if y'all would just Skype me, just send me a thing. And don't just send me, because everybody's Skype name is different from their YouTube name, and I can't remember YouTube names anyway. So Skype me and tell me what your YouTube name is, and I'll respond. If you just Skype me, I'm just going to block you or delete you as spam, because if you don't have something on there to let me know who you are, I get Skype spam all the time. All right, let's see here. Have faith is hi all. Shannon, actually 12:05 a.m. Monday. Marie Miller, something. Marie Miller, yes. Okay. So here we go. Let me get my little text document. There was something I had wrote here. I don't want to get it wrong. All right, jealousy and selfishness. You know, here's the deal. One of my subscribers asked me a while back, what does it mean when it says that our God is a jealous God? And that's a good question. And in fact, his whole point was that he had seen Oprah Winfrey on TV saying that she lost her faith in the Bible because she read the scripture that said that God was jealous, and she didn't understand it because the Bible is very, very much against jealousy. In fact, there is a verse. Well, first thing I think we need to do is just kind of explain what jealousy is. Jealousy is selfishness. It's just from a different viewpoint. Selfishness is when you have something and you're unwilling to share it with others. And the reason that this is bad is because God did not supply anybody with anything. He supplied everybody with everything. So back in the ancient past, Garden of Eden or whatever, there would have been more than enough food for every animal, every man. And it would not have made any sense for one man to try to take hold of all of the food resources and not share them with others. Jealousy is the emotion we experience when we see somebody with food and we're mad and we want it. And it's not food, but anything that somebody possesses that we want, that's jealousy. And we're not happy that they have that thing. Selfishness is when we have something and we aren't willing to share it with others. It's the same thing. The concept is God created more than enough resources for every man on the earth. There's no man or woman, and there's no reason in the world for anybody to have negative emotions associated with how much somebody else has or having more than we need. So that's why God don't like jealousy, and he doesn't like selfishness. So why is it okay for God to be jealous? Well, here's the deal. God made everything for everybody. You know, when he and this is the big part of this is human beings. If you're a man and you have a woman, or you're a woman and you have a man, and you own that man or you own that woman, that's not the way life is supposed to be. Human beings were never given permission to own one another in the ancient past. It wasn't until thousands of years later that human beings created the concept of marriage, and God went along with it. Before that, God said, "Be fruitful and fill the earth, multiply and fill the earth." He did not say how to do that or who with who. And this is if you just think about it, this is not antichrist teachings. Every human on earth is commanded to love every other human. There should be no reason for us to stop loving someone just because they love someone else. We should all love one another equally. And it's not to say we won't have special love. And in fact, we all know what that is. I love my parents more than I love your parents just because I'm familiar with them. They're the ones that raised me. I feel an obligation to them, and it is instinctive. I'm sure that was put in me by God. And I have been in love with a woman. But over the course of my life, I've had those emotions for a lot of women. I didn't act on them. I never told the women I was in love with them, but I did feel those emotions. And I guess because I was associated with religions, or I was stuck in a social paradigm that does not allow people to love more than one, I just kept it to myself. But I know that those feelings are not feelings that I created. They are the feelings I was born with. I got them from my father, who got them from his father, all the way back to Adam. And from what I understand, women's emotions are very similar, even though we're supposed to believe that women and men are different emotionally. So I honestly believe that women can love men, men can love women. I don't know that a man can love a baby the way a woman loves a baby, but that's part of this time period we live in, called the birth pains. And that may be a large part of the problem with why men and women have so much difficulty with their relationships with one another. Okay, so we've established that God never intended for humans to own other humans. And so when we pick one human female or one human male that we want for us and we don't want to share them with anybody, that isn't necessarily a good thing. And in fact, when the Jews or the Israelites were given God's law, the Ten Commandments, there were commandments in there that seemingly were associated with taking away things that are not ours. However, it wasn't until the Israelites rejected the Ten Commandments that God made a list of rules about personal relationships. Later, Jesus explained that, God never intended for human beings to get divorces, but Moses understood that humans were hard-hearted, and so he wrote in laws about that. But something that people don't understand or don't know or seemingly unaware of, as if a man or woman cheated on their spouse or their boyfriend, there was a law in place about how to get rid of that person, get them out of your house. And part of that law was that if you get jealous because your spouse is cheating on you, you have to go make a sacrifice of jealousy for the sin of jealousy. So if you see your husband or your wife fooling around and you throw them out of your house, that's actually considered by God to be a sin on your part. And so you had to go to the temple or go to the tent of meeting, make a sacrifice of jealousy. So once again, here we are. God is saying he does not like jealousy, even on that level, a level that most people would accept because most people do not believe in fooling around. But there's a reason why it's okay for God to feel that way, because even though human beings cannot own human beings, God can own human beings. He's the creator of all of us. You know, there's this hierarchy, and we all accept that there's the artificial hierarchy of civilization where you have husbands and wives and children, and then you go up and you have your boss at work, and then you've got your priest at church, and then you've got your political leaders, and so you're looking at these political leaders as if their position over you is okay. It's not okay. All humans are equal. Above humans is God. That's God's arrangement. You know, your family arrangement goes all the way back to your father. You know, honor your father and your mother is a commandment to recognize the governmental authority of your parents. And as part of that, we are to recognize the governmental authority of the creator of our parents. And so God, when he's jealous, he's righteously jealous because he's jealous of his things that he created. Now, who would he be jealous of? The other gods. And there are other gods. You know, there's a scripture, 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verses 4 through 6, where it starts out by explaining that about idols. It says, each and every one of us knows that idol ain't nothing. It's just a piece of stone, don't mean a thing. However, although there are many that are called gods in heaven, and there are many that are called gods on earth, and indeed there are many gods and many lords. But for us, there is only one God, the Father, from whom are all things and through whom we exist. So this verse is very clearly stating that there are other gods. I do not personally understand who those other gods are, or how powerful they are, or how they got here. But apparently, according to this verse, even the other gods were created by our creator God that we worship. The two words that are used in this verse when it talks about there are gods in heaven and gods on earth, and yes, indeed, there are many gods and many lords, is theos and kyrios. Theos means God. These are the just like our own understanding of what God is. Kyrios actually means Lord. And this word is used throughout the Bible. In fact, both words are used throughout the Bible to talk about people other than the Creator. And the word Lord in this is very similar to our English word Lord. Kyrios actually means like leaders, the political, economic, and religious leaders of the world, of civilization. And yes, God is jealous of those people because God deserves worship from his creation. And he does not like it when his creation is worshiping these kyrios or lords who are not worthy of worship. In the Bible, there is a god supposedly named Baal. Well, it's not really a god named Baal. Baal is simply a descriptive title. A Baal, B-A-A-L, is a god by agreement. In other words, we worship that God because we want to worship the God, and that God wants to be worshiped by us. It's not a God by natural law. These Baal, if you go back in the Bible, there are multiple Baals. It's not a single individual. It's a type of individual. These are political leaders. This has become a big issue with me because a lot of my subscribers are posting all kinds of stuff about how much they hate the current spokesmodel of Satan's empire. And then there are others who are posting things about how much they love the current spokesmodel of Satan's empire. These political rulers, these presidents and kings and popes and industrialists, God is jealous of them. He does not want us worshiping these guys. They're nothing. They're just like those idols. And so, you know, it kind of makes me think that people are not getting it. When I tell people that you cannot worship the Baals, they'll say, oh, I would never do that. But I sure do like this president. I think we need to choose the lesser of two evils, because he's going to build a wall to keep all of the good people safe from all of the bad people. And he's going to make sure everybody has life and food and all of them kind of things. And that's what God is jealous of. He does not like us giving our worship to others. Now, part of this, what I'm talking about, is I go on to sites like a reunion site for my old ship that I was assigned to when I was in the Navy. And these guys are constantly posting pictures of flags and eagles and talking about how wonderful it is to have soldiers willing to give their lives to protect our freedom and democracy. And as part of that, yesterday, somebody posted some silly story about a teacher that had all the desks removed from her classroom so that the students could come into an empty classroom and she could ask him a question. Do you know why you're free to have a desk in this school? And she let all the kids have an opportunity to respond. And then she finally opened the door and said, here's why you're free to have a desk. And a whole bunch of veterans came in full uniform, carrying each student's desk. And all the comments coming back were, you know, amen, brother, you know, we owe our servicemen for our freedom and all that kind of nonsense. And so my comment was, wow, this is like the ultimate mind control posting. And so everybody started getting on to me. And I said, you know, after they got finished telling me what a worthless man I was and how I needed to get off the website and I needed to get out of our free country, I wrote back and I said, you know, this is the kind of stuff they were posting in Stalinist Russia. And I'm pretty sure that at the time, every kid had a desk and there was a whole bunch of veterans willing to carry them desk into the classroom. Same thing with Nazi Germany. In Nazi Germany, the children all had desks. And right now, the boogeyman is actually the king of North Korea. I'm relatively certain that all of the kids in North Korea have got desks and they have veterans willing to carry them in there. So there's nothing, that little story didn't really make any kind of a point. It was just propaganda. It's the same kind of propaganda that evil people have been using for 6,000 years. But in any case, those kinds of postings are the kinds of things that make God jealous, and rightfully so. All right, so let me take a look and see what kind of comments have been getting left, because that's all I got for today. Oh my. Patricia Rabbinic, I am late. Oh, Discord for my Skype and email names are the same, but you notice that, hey, we need to get together. Have we already gotten together? That'll show up later. Yes, we talked this morning. Sorry. The word covet covers a lot of ground. Well, you know what? BMX Line's actually working on a script for a video for me, and he sent me some information a while back saying that the word covet is, I think it's the word covet in ancient Hebrew, means to make someone angry. Do not covet, do not make someone angry. And I haven't done any research on it because, you know, if he sends me the script, I'll do the video if I agree with everything. But I haven't gone through and looked at all the, you know, what the Hebrew could possibly mean. Sai Prunia Korima. I am Lord, that is my name, and my glory will I not give to another, neither my praise to graven images. Yes, and see that to a human, If humans were to feel that way, that would be a sin, because we did not create anybody, so we don't deserve to be worshipped by anybody. Good day, Henry from Rebecca. Hello, Rebecca. Oh, yeah, my husband has been jealous of anything that kept my attention. Gardening, kids, friends, sewing, church, everything I've ever done, no matter what I do. If I go outside, causes jealousy. If I come inside, causes jealousy. If I brush my hair, causes jealousy. If I don't adjust my, if I say hello to somebody, if I talk to my mom, it's very bizarre how some people can be so selfish. Angela Nadal, good, because I don't worship any of them. Hey, y'all, that's from Angela. I have zero use for any politician from any party, which is probably explains why he left the country. All right. They're all liars and thieves, all of them. Well, that's something I was talking to Thomas and Lara about today, is that in God's creation, being giving is it adds to your worth. But according to civilization, being giving marks you as a fool. This is a competitive society. Competition in the Bible, Galatians chapter 5 says that, the only way to tell a truly wicked person from a truly righteous person is by their whether or not they are giving, or whether they are selfish or competitive. All of the traits associated with selfishness or competitiveness. And so the people that make it to the top, the Pope is not the most humble man on earth. He's the most competitive of all the priests, because it takes that spirit of competition to get anywhere in anything. You don't get to be the president of a company or the owner of a company unless you're willing to squish a whole bunch of other people beneath your feet. You'll never ever get to be a politician, a successful politician, unless you're willing to do harm to everybody who stands in your way. And certainly to get to the top positions, you have to be extraordinarily selfish. It's always amazed me how people look at our founding fathers as being so generous and giving. And the way they got to where they are is by enslaving the entire population of America. Most of the Americans who participated in the Revolutionary War and got these guys their power were manipulated into doing so. And the ones who were unwilling to be manipulated were drafted. They didn't call it the draft at the time. It was conscription, and people were mostly told that if they didn't fight voluntarily, they would be forced to fight against their will. And the ones who fought voluntarily were supposed to get paid. The ones who were forced did not get paid. So a lot of people joined. It wasn't a war for freedom. It was a war to keep from being locked up. All right, so let's see what it says here. Same stuff, different day. Yes, indeed. No, we have not yet. Perhaps someday. Discord. Synoptic problem. Hi, Henry. Hello, synoptic problem. The Thames user, Marcel. Good day from down under. He's from one of the sub nations. The ones that we're putting a wall up. Australia land. They're very bad people. We have to keep them on the other side of the wall. All right, let's see here. And he and I have been discussing this quite a bit lately, in fact. Everything belongs to Yahweh. It is all here. Well, actually, I don't know if that's Yahweh or Jehovah. The Latinized version is Jehovah. The new Messianic movement, it's Yahweh. I actually think it's pronounced Eowah. Eowah. I don't follow leaders or walking parking meters. Bob Dylan. That's from Marie. Politicians, celebrities, and veterans are often made idols. We shouldn't think so highly of somebody to this point. It becomes idolatry. Yes, indeed, it is idolatry. I never could figure out this stuff. I watched John Wayne movies all my life, and I wasn't really a fighter, but I could see that all the Germans were insanely evil, and all the Japanese were insanely evil, and John Wayne and his Americans were all righteous and wonderful and loving. So I always thought of myself as righteous and loving and wonderful. So I joined the Navy. I got in there, and I'm talking as an insider. Those guys are just evil. It's like when you're in high school and everybody bullies you, and you get to the Navy, if you're a good person, everybody in the Navy will bully you if you're in the Navy. Or in the military, any military. It's just a club where everybody gangs up to harm others. And you can believe on the other side of the ocean, there's clubs that are willing to harm you. But that's another thing that was brought up recently in the USS Caloosahatchee website, is that it's either kill or be killed. That was a comment that was made to me because I'd said, it's wrong to go to war. So they said it's kill or be killed. And I said, well, actually, let's examine that in a little more detail. Probably way, way, way less than 1% of the population has actually ever murdered anyone. And probably way less than 1% of the population has ever been murdered. So the concept of kill or be killed is probably very, very exaggerated. And that got me in trouble on the military website because, honest to God, it's not kill or be killed. It's participate or don't participate. I choose not to participate. Even when I was in the Navy, after I got in there, it's like, wow, this is pretty terrible. But I was just a janitor. But you know what? When you're the janitor for soldiers, you're participating to some extent. It's kind of like working at a convenience store. A lot of the soldiers come in there to buy their cigarettes and beer. So you're still participating. There's really no way out. And so I don't look down on people who were in the military because everybody does stuff because they have to do stuff. But at the same time, I think if you do your 4 years or 6 years, and you get out of it with some common sense that what you experienced was not John Wayne movies. But these guys will go in there, go around the planet wreaking havoc on people, and come home and talk about how much freedom they made. It's insane. Okay, let me get back to my comments. The Thames user Marcel. I heard they claim in the movies of Greek mythology, our God be a jealous God. Keep watching those. Those are really good. Oh, Greek myth. All right. I actually watched a movie yesterday, or tried to watch it, and it was a thing. It was called Exodus, and it took place in modern times. It was kind of like, it was a fictional story, but it was supposed to be the story of Moses, and everybody had the same name. So I think Moses escaped from Pharaoh's family, and because he killed a guy, and he goes out to live with Jethro and his daughter, and he ends up marrying his daughter. And Jethro, in the Bible, later on, Moses takes and rescues his people, takes them through the Red Sea, gets them out into the desert, and he comes across Jethro. And his father-in-law gives him some advice. That's in the Bible. But in the movie, he got killed right off. They just killed off Jethro. And I thought, this is way, way, way off of the original story. So I'm not interested. So I stopped watching it. Some will look up to singers. Those are all, everybody that is a Baal is basically the people that we give our devotion to. Angela, that was a hard reality for me. Okay, I missed that conversation because I was too slow. The wall is to keep Americans in, not others out. Yeah, one of my subscribers posted some kind of thing about who all does not like the wall, and it was like rapists and illegal workers and drug addicts and drug smugglers. And I said, well, you better put your own self on that list, because the wall ain't for them people. It's to keep you in. And that's gonna become very apparent very soon. All right, let's see here. Are we permitted to eat popcorn during this presentation? Everybody on that side of the screen is free to do everything they want to do. On this side of the screen, I have a very strict rule against getting drunk while I'm doing the live stream. Other than that, I'll drink a fizzy aspartame. Even though I know most of my subscribers are into organic food and stuff. I have to loosen my throat up every now and then because I'm an old man, and I'm not allowed to have sugar because I'm a diabetic. There is a YouTube video of a Native American singing a chant to God that sounds, oh yes, I have heard just out of the blue, I was listening to some kind of Native American get together, and and they were singing that Yahweh, Yahweh, and it didn't have anything under there to tell you what they were saying in the Native American language, but it sounded a whole lot like some ancient Hebrew song. So, and that stuff is, there's people that say there was a copy of the Ten Commandments here when the Europeans got here. So, yeah, who knows? There you go. I like this one. Jared Bolton, you are now my best friend for the rest of the live stream. If God did not want people coming into this country, he would have put cherubs with flaming swords at the border. That's how he kept them out of the Garden of Eden. So apparently he did not make this rule against where people had to stay and where they couldn't. There will be a day after Jesus Christ returns and the dead are resurrected when human beings are no longer kept in cages. Because even though right now a lot of people in this country think it's okay to keep people in cages, it's only because they perceive others outside of America as in cages. So they feel like in order for us to not be encaged, we have to keep them encaged. The reality is we're already in cages. This just like everybody in Mexico is forced to grow groceries for Americans. Everybody in America is pretty much forced to be a telemarketer. So it's either way you go, you're still a slave. You're still in a cage. I was thinking I'll go on a popcorn diet. Well, don't make it 100% popcorn for long, because there's something in corn that will kill you. These when these missionaries go into impoverished nations and they give everybody corn and there ain't nothing else for them to eat, the people get some kind of disease that kills them, because even though corn is good for you when it's part of your diet, when it's all that's in your diet, there's some kind of a toxin in there that builds up and it will hurt you. But it takes a lot. It's not going to happen to you if you just go on a popcorn diet for a month or so. I'll let you know how it goes. Americans are going to do us all a favor and lock themselves up behind a bid wall. Maybe, I think he said behind a big wall, probably. But maybe I should fill it with water. Yeah, that guy's. I'll block him. Don't worry. He won't be causing problems next week. All right. The title of your video is wrong. Hey, okay. Well, if it is, I'll straighten it out later. The title should be, "Is it okay for God to be jealous?" I think something like that. I don't have access to it right now, so I don't know what it is. Okay, you say the Most High is jealous. This is a wrong translation. I actually looked up the word, and I used Westcott and, well, not Westcott and Hort, but the thing that's on the Westcott and Hort site, because I think Westcott and Hort just did the New Testament, but I think it might be the Septuagint that they used on the Old Testament, but it's not Textus Receptus. It's so I've looked up Textus Receptus and the other website, and both of them do use the same word jealousy that they use. The word they use for God is the same as it is for the word they use for humans. And with humans, it's always negative, and with God, it's apparently not negative. I see only 7 likes. There's 12 now, but it should be like 7 billion, right? I guess most of the world doesn't have the internet or something. I'll have to go back and look at Ben Israel's comments later, but he's commenting in Greek, and I don't know Greek. I have to use Greek reference material to look that stuff up. Pot roast. Is this what instead of popcorn? Strangefoot. Good day, Strangefoot. Thank you for joining us again. Yeah, translation, please, Benny Israel. Well, actually, maybe send that to Angela personally, because I'm just kidding. I'm not really interested. I'm not. Religion is one of those things that I try to avoid at all costs. Angela, do you look? Angela, do you look like your picture? What does Angela's picture look like? Oh, it's a dot. Yeah, a dot on a set of shoulders. Here's my contribution to the channel. Yeah, Jacob's 12 sons had borders. Okay, let's take a look at that. When Israel, the nation of Israel, entered the Promised Land, they were kind of like reenacting the nations of the earth, but also they were reenacting changes that have taken place in our constellations, because the way the earth is set up, the constellations never move. We're going around the sun. The sun is the center of our solar system, but outside of that are these millions and millions of solar systems and galaxies and so on and so forth, and they form into shapes. That's why you can look up and say, okay, there's the Big Dipper, you know, or one I can find. I'm not able to find too many, but Orion, that shows up. That looks like an hourglass. It's pretty easy to spot. Well, each of those constellations has one bright star. And so you can track time by the position of the moon or the position of the sun within those constellations. You can't really see them when the sun is in the constellations, but you can see them when the moon. When the moon blocks Taurus, it could be said that the moon is in Taurus, or when Saturn passes through Taurus, the Saturn's in Taurus. And so those 12 constellations are always in their place. So that's what the 12 tribes of Israel were supposed to do. They were supposed to be in their place. Like I said before, there have been changes in our solar system where the Earth has shifted or the solar system has shifted, and everybody knows that even the scientists acknowledge it, because there are so many star charts around the world that indicate that Alpha Draconis is the North Star. And in fact, even in ancient past, you know, people go down into the bottom of the pyramid and look up at night, and they would always see the North Star through that long tunnel that goes into the base of the pyramid. And so if you go down in the base of the pyramid now, you see Polaris, because Polaris is now the current North Star. So that means that the whole solar system has shifted. Now, according to scientists, these shifts take place over billions of years. And so back when the pyramids were built, that's where Alpha Draconis was, but over time, Polaris moved into that position. Well, that's not true. Every sea chart from every single map of our constellations from all of the ancient past indicates that Alpha Draconis is the North Star, up until the day of the earthquake that took place when Jesus died. When Jesus died, there was a great earthquake, and on the very next day, Earth-wide, seemingly overnight, all of the star charts changed to indicate that Polaris was the North Star. So it's just a, you know, evidence that God made, or that God acknowledged. You know, human beings put this stuff together, but it was a thing that God did to just let us know that He moved the earth. When Jesus died, He moved the earth. And in fact, the verse in Revelation where it says, down the great dragon was hurled, that's actually about Alpha Draconis, which was the North Star, being hurled down when Jesus died. And it's also about to happen again. And it's going to happen to where Alpha Draconis is going to actually be over the ecliptic that's around the area of the equator, and also constellation Crux, because in the Bible it says that whenever you see the disgusting thing that causes destruction, where it doesn't belong, then know that the end is near. Well, that disgusting thing that causes destruction is the cross. You know, the cross of Christianity is based on constellation Crux, because back in the ancient past, constellation Crux was closer to the equator. The Egyptians could see it, and that's what they based their Ankh on. The Ankh was based on constellation Crux. After the solar system shifted, they could no longer see their god, constellation Crux, what they call the Ankh, which eventually became the Christian cross. It's a disgusting thing that causes destruction. So yeah, the earth has shifted. Let's see here. Yeah, the Native Americans have been tracked to the tribe of Issachar. Just found this out recently. I don't even know if that's true, but I think they have done DNA testing, and that's seemingly there's, you know, Native American. They were always saying that Native Americans come from Asia. I don't know what that was. Well, was it my stuff? Did it break?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
Anyways, popcorn is polluting your vote. I keep hitting the like button, but I come back and it's shaded again. What gives? Yeah. The Most High is a zealot, not jealous. Shalom. I was with you until you blasphemed popcorn. I'm glad that y'all have a sense of humor, because a lot of people get really, really, you know, thinking that it's like holiness. When you're in church, you're supposed to be real stiff and not smiling or anything. That's why this isn't church. Did Planet X go over Jerusalem when Jesus died? Well, yes. You know what? I don't know that there. I don't remember exactly. There was the sky got darkened. Something had to darken it. I know that in the very beginning, when it says that the wise men, or what do you call it, the Magi followed Jesus' star. They found him because they followed his star. That word is Astarte or Estar, and it means star, but it also means planet, because by then the planets had been thrust out into deep space and they kind of look like stars. But there was a time when the planets were close to Earth and there were regular scheduled eclipses that involved things other than the moon. So we know for a fact that that star that they followed was not a star, it was a planet, and it may have been what ends up getting called Planet X or Nibiru, because that, even though it's like a nonsense religion, it is based on some very clear evidence that there is a star, or there is a planet that occasionally will show up and cause some kind of catastrophes. But the science behind it, that it shows up every 8,000 years, or that it's caught in some kind of galactic forces or something. People don't know. People know that in the ancient past, people saw a planet block out the light of the sun, and that planet ended up bringing catastrophes. And in fact, a lot of the stories about the asteroid belts, and Mars, the god of war, the planet Mars, is involves wars that took place between all of these planets, and one of those planets is a planet that no longer is in our solar system. So there, it's possible that star, that planet that led the Magi to Jesus, is the same thing that caused the sky to become darkened on the day he died. And it's the same thing that come back, there's 7 planets out there, real planets that we can see. And so that number 7 comes up over and over and over in the Bible. And it makes me think that that's about the 7 planets. But when you get to Revelation, it says there were 7 kings with 7 crowns on their heads. And then later it says 7 kings with 10 crowns. Or 7 heads with 10 crowns. But it says, then comes something that acts like an 8th king. If those 7 kings are planets, which I think they are, then that 8th king is probably a planet. Maybe this, what people call Nibiru or Planet X. It may be the star that led the Magi to Jesus. Maybe what blocked out the light of the sun on the day that Jesus died. Okay, let's see here. My ma used to pinch me during church. Well, that ain't funny. So wouldn't want to laugh. There are no, oh man. Ben Yisrael, son of Israel, with your little eagle head icon. This is not a religion. I don't know what got you here, but this is not a religion channel. We're not going to talk about how the earth is flat because the Bible says the earth is flat, or how America is God's new nation, because I see your little eagle. In the Bible, Jesus was asked how the end is coming, and he says in English that where the vultures are, that's where you're going to find the bodies. That's not what it says in the original Greek. In the Greek, it says where the eagle is where you're going to find the bodies. And in the Bible, the eagle is always called the unclean bird. This is Satan's empire. Civilization is Satan's empire. 1 John 5:19. This is Satan is the god of civilization. James chapter 4, verse 4. 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 4. Many dozens of of verses are about how this is Satan's empire, civilization, and America. The land of the eagle is the capital of Satan's empire. Very soon, the Antichrist is going to come out of this country, and he will rule from Israel because Israel has always been God's enemy from the very beginning. You know, when Jacob was born, he was called Eokabah because he was a grabber of the foot. His brother Esau was coming out, and in order to usurp his authority, he grabbed his foot so he could come out first. But later, Jacob got into a fight with God's angel, and he earned the name Israel, which means he who fights against God. And so all this nonsense, this religious nonsense about this, the Bible says the earth is flat, and the Bible says we have to worship Israel and recognize them and help them, that stuff is demonic. And that's just what the Bible says. You know, I'm not going to allow this channel to be turned into a religious channel, because very soon the God of religion, Satan, is going to be cast out. There's no point of even talking about religion or rescuing religion, because that nonsense is about to be done away with forever. I think most people here understand that. I don't know how you got here. All right, let's see here. Dan, Henry, control your group. I just got pinched. Angela says, lol. My uncle's name is Eglis. You know, in the Bible, this is another thing I've been talking about with BMX Ion, is how has our solar system changed? So right now we know that the ecliptic is made up of all these different constellations, and one of them is the bull Taurus, and another one is the ram. But within those constellations are a whole bunch of other things. When in vision, several of the prophets saw a vision with 4 faces, and one of the faces was an eagle, one was of a bull, one was of a ox, rather, not a bull, but an ox and an eagle and a oh, somebody out there knows. BMX Ion, help me out. But anyways, he's trying to figure out what angle the earth was by those 4 faces, because those constellations are all over our earth, but the only ones that we actually take into consideration in the tracking of time are those that are in the ecliptic. And it just makes sense, because the earth rotates that way, and so that's in a certain amount of time you're going to see each of those constellations come in progression. But those constellations do not match the 4 faces of that beast, which was seen by several of the prophets. And so we think that we can figure out exactly how the earth or the solar system is going to tilt as Christ returns and our solar system is restored to the way it's supposed to be. All right. Your wife sounds so sweet. I wish Trish sounded like that. Trust me, they've got a lot in common. Circumcision is genital mutilation. Yes, it is, and I think God hates it. You know, when it's kind of strange when the Israelites went into the Promised Land and they rejected God's law, He gave them a second law, and that law included circumcision. So you would think, well, maybe that's part of the wicked law of Moses. But circumcision was initiated long before that. And so you have to wonder, why in the world did the God of Abraham initiate circumcision? And I think that's one of those things we're not going to figure out until after the resurrection. But currently, there is no circumcision, because there was no circumcision spoken of in the 10 Commandments, the original law God wanted man to live by. It wasn't until God gave man what's called the wicked law that circumcision was made official. And so when Jesus was on the earth, He said that the wicked law was, you know, done away with. We no longer had to follow those rules. But, you know, a lot of people say, well, no, Jesus said He was not here to do away with the law of Moses. Well, He wasn't. When Jesus left, the law of Moses was still in effect. So basically, what they're asking him was, "You're going to do away with the law of Moses?" He said, "I can't." But he did say that there would come a day when he would return and he would do away with the law of Moses. You know, because the law of Moses was man's law. Moses was a man. Oh, wait a second. Here we go. Man, eagle, ox, lion. Well, thank you, Ben Israel. Man, eagle, ox, lion. And you know, the thing about it, here's another part that's kind of makes me wonder, is that the vision was seen two different ways. Because some of them saw a man and an ox and an eagle and a lion, but others saw a cherub and an ox and an eagle and a lion, indicating that humans are cherubs, or one day humans will be cherubs, or then in the ancient past, cherubs became humans. Since we don't know what a cherub is, really, we can't tell, you know, what that's about. But once again, there will come a day when we will all understand why some of the prophets saw a man and some saw a cherub. And Satan go, yeah, yeah. Let God handle the Jews. They his people. He gonna kill 3/4 of them himself. I look at those numbers. You know, it's like a third. There's verses that talk about a third of mankind being living through what's coming, and some say a fourth of mankind living through what's coming. And I've always kind of taken a stand that those are literal numbers, and I don't really understand exactly how it's going to work, because the verses that are in Revelation are all about celestial phenomenon, but as above, so below. So when it talks about a third of the stars being cast down, that's probably literal stars as the earth shifts. And so it may not involve the angels or our humans. Why pick on Ben? Because he's trying to start trouble. My race is my religion. Oh my God, who was that? Yeah, message retracted. Well, thank you, because my race is my religion as well. The human race is, you know, anybody that thinks there's anything different about different humans is goofy. Ben is not trolled yet. So far, he's okay. Thank you, Thames user Marcel. Jesus was here to fulfill the law. Well, he did. And, you know, here's the thing about that, is that a lot of people think that God wanted Jesus to be sacrificed because he needed a perfect sacrifice, and only Jesus could be the perfect sacrifice. The way that Jesus fulfilled the law is that the law was established supposedly to make the world a better place. And it's just like any other law. The people who get in charge of the law become more and more evil. Only the evil ones actually succeed. And so, according to the law, Jesus was executed, even though he never broke the law. He was never once broke the law, but he received the worst possible punishment that the law could give. So it just was a proof that the law was to be done away with, because even though mankind promised that they would stick to the law, they never stuck to the law. They always broke the law, and they even used their fictionalized version of the law to murder God's son. One is speaking to you right now, separating wheat from the tare. Shake my head. These are different creations. Like I said, I'm not interested in religion. I don't know why you keep trying to interject religion in here. I'm here to tell people what's in the Bible. The Bible is a book about how how much he hates religion and how he's going to destroy religion. 3 days of darkness. Those 3 days come up quite a bit. Okay. Oh, thank you. It's almost an hour. We're almost done. Okay, Ben Israel, you and I need to talk. I suspect that you're somebody that I know, someone who I've already talked to, and you're trying to start some crap here. But you're This thing here, I tell you a secret. Adam is the King of Kings. Adam's kingdom is on earth. You didn't just come up with that. So you have revealed that you are somebody that knows me. And yeah, I'm probably going to have to block you. You need to come tell me who you are and what your agenda is. Thames user Marcel. It's like, we may never find the truth, but we can find happiness. Adam and Eve were happy in their ignorance, and Mr. Devil offered knowledge, I think. All right. So anyways, I think it's time to bring this to an end. And I don't know, I'm not happy with this thing because of this guy over here pretending to be somebody he's not, but I will get rid of him and he'll make a new channel and he'll come back. But I hope everybody understands that it's okay for God to be jealous of people, of God's taking away his creation or ruling over his creation. And hopefully with that understanding, you'll stop worshiping these politicians and these other gods. As always, if you don't want to survive, don't listen to me.